Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bomber Banter. This is the post replay review of, can we call it a game? Don't know if we can call it quite an AFL game against Richmond on the weekend, round 18. Now, I do have to apologise in advance. I kind of feel like there was some divine intervention happening this morning because if you hear some unfamiliar noises, that is drilling happening upstairs in my apartment. In the apartment above, I should say. It's been going on all morning. I've been waiting to record this, but it's been going on all morning, and that felt like the divine intervention to stop me actually talking about the game that was. But I'm going to forge forward anyway, and hope that it's not it doesn't interrupt me too much, and it's not overly distracting. So I do apologise if there's some drilling kind of sounds. I will keep the mic nice and close. Resilience is talked about a lot in football and in sport, particularly, and it's no man. There is no job greater than that of the psychologist at the Essendon Football Club this week, because the amount of emotional regulation that is required for this young group this week and for the rest of the year really is at an all-time high. And I just hope that the club mentors and the psychologist are really up for this because, it's an emotional game and challenges happen, but it's how you ride the wave and the ups and downs and the roller coaster that is life, but is sport particularly. It's how you ride those waves. That's what's important. I just, we all know that resilience isn't built when you're winning. It's built in, how you forge forward, your response to the trauma or the challenges. And, particularly for a young group who are not used to such, challenges on such a big scale and, seeing their mates go down. And it really can't be easy for a lot of these young guys who, one after the other of their teammates keep going down. So there's an element of, oh, am I next? What's going on? There's an element of, a bit of it's out of their control. So, as human beings, we all do best when we are in control or when we think we're in control. So this is something that is completely out of their control, and it's going to be challenging their mental state of mind. So this is not about ignoring the adversity. This is about looking it in its face, giving it space to rear its head, not about, decompressing or compartmentalizing. It's about facing what's happening and, accepting that it's out of your control. And what do I always say? Don't be in conflict with what is. And this is just it for the group at the moment and for the club at the moment. So do what you can that is in your control and what you can do in order not to dwell on it. It needs to be looked at. They can't hide and push down how they're feeling, and that's the really important part of this. I just hope that they're really allowing the group to actually express how they're feeling, not just, oh yeah, it sucks, but actually get to the root of, the real energy surrounding the glumness, the bleakness that's surrounding the injuries and the club at the moment in regards to this issue, because burying the feelings are not going to help any of them. It's when you face them that they can dissipate and you can get on with what you need to do. But if you just ignore them, they just weigh you down. And that is what happened on Saturday night. Well, for, the last 3 quarters anyway. I think you'll all forgive me for not going into the game in great detail, but I did rewatch bits and pieces because I have committed to this. So I did do that. But it was very clear to see that after the second quarter, when Martin did go down at the end of the first, there was a clear change in particularly the younger brigade. It's safe to say they collectively had their worst showing since they've all kind of come into the team. But even some of the more experienced boys, they looked rattled. Their energy was really down. And again, I said on the fan cams, it was it's so noticeable when you see Roberts going still at a 10, but the rest of them going at a 5 or a 6. the distinct difference in energy is there for everyone to see. And yeah, it can't have been easy to have another one go down, and a spiritual leader in Marto. So I can appreciate that was a part of it. But outside of the mental part of it, it also was very clear on the replay that they just were not working hard enough at all to cause turnovers and to pressure Richmond into making mistakes. The Richmond players were awful. They were awful. They were at our level, as bad as we were. They were begging us to come and pressure them and force them to stuff it up. And even when they stuffed it up all on their own, we just couldn't capitalise. When they Yes, we got some great intercepts down back, and Ridley there, thank God, honestly. Laverty, Blackiston got their fair share of intercepts too, intercept possessions, that is. But even when we did bring the ball to ground and they were actually gifting us turnovers, we just did not have the composure or the skill level or the decision making to actually get on top of those errors and and turn them into scores. Or our priority was to go slow and sideways and backwards, and it is clearly not working. It is clearly so obvious that we don't have enough players who are willing to take that risky kick up the corridor. In fact, I wasn't at the game, so I didn't see it on a greater scale and how we were setting up, but from what I could gauge from the TV, the corridor looked wide open, and yet we still had players lining up sideways and just in front and backwards, imploring the ball carrier to possess it sideways or backwards. And that is doing two things. It is slow and stodgy and halting momentum. And the second thing, it's allowing Richmond to set up ahead of the ball. So it is no wonder that Caddy never got space. That Caddy always had an opponent on him when he was trying to come up the wing or make a long lead, because his opponent had time and space to do it. So it's just very clear that it's not working. And is it happening at a necessity because we don't have good enough ball users or decision makers to execute that forward movement and that forward furrow to kind of actually move the ball with intent and with bravery? That's probably a part of it, but I also think it's a directive to stem the bleeding. If you're in possession of the ball, whether that is sideways and backwards, that is less time that the opponent is actually effectively scoring. It's kind of tempting them to force you into turnover, but at the end of the day, you're in possession of the ball, so it's slowing down their ability to actually, put a score on you. But that's not a winner's mindset in my eyes. Again, I'm not in the coaching box, so I don't know the bigger picture here. But to me, that's it's a combination of just stemming the bleeding. And Brad Scott has come out in press conference in the past, like I think after the Bulldogs game, the Geelong game, and said the 90-point loss is the product of trying to take the game on and trying not to lose but to win. Well, I guess Saturday night was the complete polar opposite. We tried not to lose, and we instead, was the byproduct of that was we just possessed the ball, went backwards and sideways, and weren't brave enough to go forward and create some chaos ahead of the ball and give our smalls and our medium forwards a chance to actually create something. Yes, we did get it in, and particularly in the second quarter, we had it in the forward half 80% of the time. But I don't know, nothing about it screamed method or, even method in the madness, because essentially you want to be you want to be, what am I trying to say? You want to be inconsistent to the opposition so they can't predict what you're going to do. Unpredictable. You want to be unpredictable to your opposition, but that chaos ball, your teammates should have a sound mind about what you're going to do next. And I didn't feel like the forwards knew exactly what each other were going to do. And there's an explanation for that. They have not been playing together for long. They don't know each other's signs and movements and ways of kind of, using the ball and their little intricacies of play. Some of them do, but it's not even close enough to what a really connected team and a finals winning team needs, and that's synergy. So I think, we were aside, as I said, from Roberts, I think every player, and maybe Caddy, I think every player could put their hand up and say they didn't work near hard enough to actually to pressure the ball carrier and to put pressure on, and that it didn't look like a lack of effort, but it looked like a lack of intent to put pressure on and to force the opponent into error. And look, I think subconsciously they knew it was Richmond and they're coming into a game they should win, and maybe it was just going to happen, an element of just going to happen. And I think a lot of them are tired. A lot of them feel like they needed a game where it was just going to happen and that they didn't have to put in 110% effort. I think the likes of Caddy, they're tired. The kids, Clark was absolutely exhausted after the second quarter, and he's looked tired for a week or two now. So if we didn't have these injuries, these kids would be getting rested. So are we going to rest them anyway? I don't know. At this point in our injury disaster, I think we have to. We cannot risk Caddy getting a long-term injury. Dersma, he's looked like injuries threatening him for weeks now. Are we just waiting for him to break down and have a year-long injury? So decisions have to be made. But on that note, let's just get to the Twix Awards. Let's get this over and done with. It's not a long list. Three go to Roberts. He was the one who showed the most intent and energy. Absolutely love that kid. 2 goes to Ridley. I just feel so much better with him in the side, holistically and physically, to be quite honest. He doesn't show that energy and grunt like a Roberts does, but he does it in his own way, and that's with calmness, composure, and a level head. 1 I'll give to Kako. I thought he was another one who was actually trying to forge the ball forward with some intent, with some creativity. He was trying to lower the eyes and find a teammate. Didn't always come off, but at least he was trying. And then half Twix, I'm giving to Blackiston, who continues to battle, who did a lot more ruck work, which was great. I said on the fan cams, I completely forgot he was a ruck when I saw him in there. I thought, oh, how cool. We're giving Peter Wright a bit of a night off and we're getting a defender to do some of the ruck work. So that was quite amusing to my brain. Giving half to Caddy, didn't have his best night, but I'm giving it to him for his effort, and he kept trying and trying and trying. It was clunky. His leads he was getting under the ball, but giving him that half just for the effort. And I'm also giving half to Hobbs for his effort. I know a lot of people will come at me for that, but I thought for a second week in a row, his effort and intent were at an acceptable level. So that's it for the Twix Awards. Might be harsh, but they're lucky anyone made the list, to be quite frank. Anyway, we move on. Not dwell. Look at the challenges. Look at the trauma. Look at the pain, and then ride the wave and move on to the next. What's in front of you, which is GWS. It is the Thursday night showing. Oh God, what do we do to deserve this? But anyway, you will get this, or you're getting this obviously as you watch it. Fiona's forecast will be out tonight as well. So 2 in 1 day for you, lucky you. And then just giving you an extra few days to watch it, and an extra bit of time to indulge in the content. And then obviously Wednesday night will be team selection live. What have we got left to bring in at this point? We will find out. And then the fan cams, obviously Thursday night post game. I will keep you updated on the time that will start, but hopefully not too late. Alrighty, I'll leave you all there. Big love, and I'll see you soon.